This is A World Gone Mad, and it's WTF Wednesday. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf. I'll tell you, the listeners right now, I'm tired. Not just physically, not just from another week of chaos. I'm tired of watching a country I love get ripped apart by the very people who swore an oath to protect it. I'm tired of watching grifters and cowards sell out the truth for attention and power. And the man who led them there, the man who started so much of this, still walks around smirking, pretending he's the victim. He's not the victim. We are. I work on this podcast every day of the week, and I then record it 3 times a week, trying to make sense of it, trying to find a way forward, wondering if any of it still matters. Some nights it feels like I'm the only one still shouting into the storm, fighting to keep a spark of sanity alive, while most of the world scrolls past. But I keep showing up because it has to matter. Because if I stop talking, if you stop talking, they win. We're not powerless, but we're running out of patience. And at some point, that frustration has to turn into action. I'm going to share with you 7 real steps we could take to push back, to take control of what's left of our country. But first, I need to talk about what just happened this past week, because it shows exactly how far this madness has gone, and why none of us can afford to sit this out anymore. You could feel it building. The people in power keep pushing the line. The language is getting darker. The threats are getting louder. Every week they test how much more we'll take before we finally break. And the latest? Donald Trump is talking about his next move. The next step in tightening his grip, the next piece of the plan to put his iron hand on the heart of America, to take control once and for all of our country. The move that would give Donald the power to use the United States military against the very people he's supposed to serve. Now, earlier this week, Donald Trump talked about using the Insurrection Act. In an interview, he told reporters, "We have an Insurrection Act for a reason. If I had to enact it, I would do that." His Vice President J.D. Vance backed him up, saying, "Trump is looking at all of his options, including invoking the Insurrection Act. If I had to enact it, I would do that," Vance said. Those aren't rumors. Those are their words. That's 2 of the most powerful people in this country talking about turning the United States military inward. The Insurrection Act was written for rebellion, for national emergencies, not for politics, not for punishing governors who disagree, and definitely not for controlling citizens who protest. Yet here they are, treating it like a tool they can use whenever it suits them. When Trump was asked about deploying troops in cities like Chicago, he said, "If the governor can't do the job, we'll do the job." That's not presidential. That's domination. That's a man who doesn't see limits, doesn't respect local government, the courts, or the Constitution when it stands in his way. We've seen this before throughout history. Authoritarians promise order, but what they deliver is silence. They sell control as safety, and once they have it, you don't get it back. So here we are again, hearing an American president talk about putting troops on American streets. This isn't exaggeration. This isn't out of context. These are their own words, said on camera, said in interviews, and said proudly. And if that doesn't shake you, it should. Because this isn't just politics anymore. This is about the kind of country we're going to live in, who's willing to stand up and take action, before it's too late. Now, earlier I told you I was going to share with you 7 real steps we could take to push back, to start taking control again. And I meant it. Before I get into those 7 steps, I want to say something directly to you, the listeners, right now. These steps I'm going to tell you about, I'm not saying this to attack you. Some of you listening will not be able to do these steps right now. If you've lost someone you love recently, or not too long ago, what I'm about to talk about isn't directed at you. You've been through enough already. I know what that feels like, the weight, the hole, the nights that don't end. You're healing, and you're doing your best just to get through. I've been there. If some of the listeners who are listening now are dealing with health issues, same thing. I know how that feels too. The pain, the fatigue, the uncertainty. It drains everything out of you. You've already got a full plate. And if you're struggling to pay bills or keep food on the table, this isn't aimed at you. I don't need to receive messages from listeners saying, "Hey Jeff, I'm doing everything I can to hold my own life together." I get it. I truly do. I'm not giving any of you excuses to use. I'm just acknowledging what some of you are going through. I'm talking to the people listening now who have their footing, people with decent health, a little stability, family around them, and enough resources to make it through the week. You're the ones I'm calling on right now, because this moment in history needs you. So here are 7 action steps to reverse, resist Trump's attack on America. Some of you have already heard all of these actions. Some of you may be doing some of these actions already, if not all of them. Bravo. Terrific. But 95% of you aren't. So it's directed to these people. Action step 1. Build the foundation. Before we can fix anything out there, we have to get smart in here, in our own communities. Preparation isn't panic, it's power. When people understand their rights, how to document abuses, where to find help, how to support one another, fear loses its grip. Education builds confidence. Training builds trust. And when that foundation is in place, we don't just react, we respond with strength and purpose. That's where real change begins, right in your own neighborhood. One conversation, one workshop, one connection at a time. Action step 2, protect the vote. The most powerful, peaceful weapon we have is the ballot box. Every vote cast is a voice that can't be silenced, unless we let it be. This is where the fight gets real, where you can make an impact right now. Register voters. Help people get to the polls when it's election time. Defend mail-in ballots. Watch for suppression and call it out. Democracy doesn't collapse all at once. It fades when people stop showing up. So show up. Help others show up. Because every ballot is a line in the sand that says, we still believe in a country that belongs to all of us. Action step 3, hold them accountable. Once people are informed and voting, the next step is pressure, real pressure. Democracy erodes when officials think no one is watching. They count on our silence more than our votes. Call them, email them, show up at their town halls, demand oversight, investigations, and consequences. Use public pressure to make sure they know we see them, we hear them, and we expect results. Because democracy doesn't just need voters, it needs watchdogs. And that's us. Action step 4, fight back legally. The courtroom is where words become action and action becomes law. Legal battles are the backbone of long-term defense. When you support lawsuits, constitutional challenges, and watchdog groups, you turn outrage into outcomes that last. Corruption and abuse don't stop at Election Day, and neither can we. Every dollar, every signature, every case that defends the Constitution helps keep power in check long after the headlines fade. Action step 5, build local power. Democracy starts where you live. It's only as strong as the people willing to show up and lead in their own backyard. Get involved in your school board, your city council, your neighborhood association. That's where real influence begins. Protests are important, but protests fade. But local power lasts. When we strengthen our towns, our schools, and our communities, we create a foundation no national chaos can shake. Real change starts at home. Action step 6, rise up peacefully. This is where the power of the people becomes visible. When education, organization, and legal awareness come together, protest turns into purpose. March, rally, protest, stand side by side with others who refuse to look away. Peaceful protest is not chaos. It's clarity. It's a message to those in power that we are awake, alert, and unafraid. When it's informed and strategic, civil disobedience can shake the walls of injustice without breaking the spirit of the movement. In a few minutes, I'm going to give you a bonus action step. But before I tell you about that, here's action step 7. Support independent media. Truth is under attack, and independent journalism is the front line of defense. Subscribe to real investigative outlets. Share their voices and their work. Help keep the lights on for people who still chase facts instead of clicks. Call out lies when you see them and help others learn how to spot them too. Because without truth, democracy can't breathe. Support the voices that hold power accountable. And make sure facts still matter in a world that's drowning in noise. A world gone mad. And speaking of that, of independent media, that includes this podcast. If every one of you listening told just 3 friends about this podcast and encouraged them to listen once, we'd reach thousands of people overnight. Think about that. That's how movements grow. That's how truth travels. One person at a time, passing it forward. A lot of you text me. Some of you send emails or voice messages telling me about other podcasts or other voices you're listening to. And that's fine. It's great that you're paying attention. But stop wasting your time on the voices and podcasts that turn every headline into a circus. Breaking news from one podcaster, breaking news from another voice on the internet. The breaking news that isn't really breaking. The fake headlines designed to keep you angry or scared and tuned into those voices. Invest your time in voices that matter. That's why I ask for your support of this podcast. I don't fake my commentary. I don't fake my stories. And I don't say bullshit just to get you, the listener, to listen in each week. Something else I want to bring up. A few of you texted me, had a problem trying to share my podcast with others with the link. If you're having issues, let me know. I'll be more than glad to help you. I can't do this alone, guys. I don't want to be talking to my hand like a sock puppet. I need your support. This podcast growth can grow instantly in a couple of days if you have access to hundreds of people. And some of you have access to thousands. Some of you run other groups, Facebook groups. And yet I don't know for a fact that you're sharing this podcast. Please do. Okay, here's the bonus action step I told you about. Be ready for the worst. Have supplies, have food, have water. Extra. Some of the listeners I've spoken to directly, and also friends and family, people I care about, a few of you have chuckled at my suggestion and thought Natasha and I were overreacting with gathering supplies, food, and water. But look around. The world isn't as steady as it used to be. This isn't about fear. It's about responsibility. Because when things go wrong, and they sometimes do, being ready means you can help others instead of needing to scramble to help yourself. Have supplies, have food, have water. I'm not asking you to panic. I'm asking you to prepare. Do it with clear eyes and calm hearts, not out of fear, but out of love for your family, your neighbors, and your own peace of mind. Now stop for a moment and really think about this next thing I'm going to ask you. Do you feel comfortable with what Donald is doing to our country? With the silence and the lack of backbone the Republicans are showing? Do you honestly feel safe for yourself, for your family, and where this is heading in our country? Please answer this question honestly. I think I know the answer to this question. It should be 1,000% no from some of you who are listening right now. All of you, actually. If one or two of you said yes, then you're either a Republican still on the fence, or you think I'm absolutely insane. Then you haven't a clue what's going on with our country. To those of you who have answered no to my question, you need emergency supplies wherever you live. Not 3 days worth, but 3 months of supplies or more if possible. And if some listeners are laughing right now at what I'm saying, please trust me. With everything happening from Donald the Delusional One and his MAGA supporters, you will want to be prepared. You'll be surprised at the peace of mind that comes from knowing you have extra food, water, and supplies on hand where you live, especially if that silly Insurrection Act happens. If you have questions about this, I'd be more than glad to elaborate to you one-on-one. Or if you have thoughts about anything that I've talked about in this episode, you can reach me 2 ways you should know by now. By email, wolfpacktalks@gmail.com. Or 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, toll-free voice mailbox. No one is going to pick up the phone. It's just a voice mailbox. 833-399-9653. Either way, it would be nice to hear from you. Please let me hear from some of you. That would be nice. And please share my podcast with others. I could use your help. This is A World Gone Mad. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf. I'll be back Friday. Till then, Wolfpack listeners, remain skeptical, keep focused, but most of all, stay hopeful.